Hi everybody and welcome to our Resolve the Unsolved forum from Panacea eBiz Consulting. Today we have a very interesting and a very important topic for discussion, that is e-learning, and focusing around e-learning gaps and challenges. There has been lots going on the web consistently for the last 1.5 years, obviously much before that also. But why I mentioned last 1.5 years, when we have been experiencing the COVID-19 onslaught, e-learning became the buzzword, and schools, colleges, universities across the globe, corporate learning, small training programs are heavily dependent on the concept called e-learning. So we thought it will be good to have a discussion to understand what are the gaps and challenges. Joining me today on this discussion, we are privileged to have Bhushan Sharma. Hi Bhushan, welcome to the platform.
Hi, thank you. Nice.
Bhushan currently is an Associate Vice President for Higher Education at Sage Publishing. He comes with a rich experience of 20+ years of business development experience, and his experience in the education industry spans across various product categories, which includes both print and digital. Prior to Sage, Bhushan has spent time at a senior position with organizations like Bennett & Coleman, with Wiley, and various other publishing houses. Pearson being one of them. So he brings in a diverse knowledge where he has been interacting with the educational institutions, with the content world, and helping enable the education system manage content both digitally and in print. We might be having Mr. Ravinder Goyal joining in slightly late, but he got tied up, so he could not join in, but there was a slight emergency with which he was to attend. Now, as we get into the discussion, there are a couple of points which I wanted to share with you. Recently, there was an editorial which came up in New York Times on online courses, which says that online courses are harming students who need the most help. And it was a very interesting article, though I'm not sharing the article over here, but it paints a picture of online learning as a wedge further dividing those with strong academic skills from the less proficient students. So the problem is not with online courses, it is also to do with the design of online programs, the audience to whom it has been delivered to, how it has been delivered to, is there a two-way communication possible? It is not about anybody coming on and just speaking out what he or she knows, or a recorded program which is hosted on a platform and goes across. I'm sure most of us will agree that learning and training is not such a simplistic job. It needs proper evaluation, it needs proper instructional design, and lot many things. So today, the objective is we will take one point at a time, have a proper discussion onto it, and as we go across, we will try to conclude focusing on 3 or 4 challenges per se. To start off with, before we go further, I would request Bhushan to just share his offhand experience about this digital world and e-learning. Bhushan, please.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. So, See, how I have seen the e-learning market is like it has been evolving with years, and all of a sudden it has become a necessity due to the current circumstances and the pandemic. And what actually is happening that anything which is being delivered via media remotely is being termed as e-learning. Some of them are structured, some of them are not structured, and we have seen all sort of things coming in. It's textual material, video material, animation. So everything is coming. Whosoever is conversant with any of those media, or they have any of the content, they just put on, and it's being termed as e-learning. As Mr. Ghosh mentioned that the problem is not with the course but the design at large. And essentially what we have seen is that even in a school or a college education system, there is always a heterogeneous group wherein some would be fast learners. They might just be brushing up their knowledge. There might be slow learners. Like in every class we have so-called backbenchers and the class toppers. They need different way of teaching and learning and even assessment while they go through the entire learning process. So essentially that's what the scenario is. And it involves the various tools at different places in terms to how we can solve specifically what we are looking at. So when we see the executive education part where the institutions are actually, corporates are training their employees, the scenario is quite different. They might be going for a compliance requirement for a course, or they might be going for a learning or a leadership skill. So there the things would be a bit different. I think as we move on and discuss this particular in this particular forum, we would unfold that what could be the probable solutions for these type of problems, and how it can be sorted with the type of assessments as well.
Thanks, Bhushan, with your sharing your perspective. I would steer the discussion with certain challenges which we have experienced. I have experienced, you have experienced, as we have been talking about it. And in the process, I would be very open. We have Sanjay, who is capable to add in. I can see Professor Pankaj also from BIMTech live over there. He can also contribute, and others who are there can come in. So the first question or the first challenge which comes to my mind is very clear. It is instruction without the instructor being present most of the time. So the first challenge, the instruction is happening without the instructor. And interestingly, it depends on the size of the business. E-learning is not been only delivered by a college or a large institution, even by a small business house. And what happens is the business house may have a dedicated learning development team which is there. But what happens is the same person may be wearing multiple hats. They may be marketing manager, they may be doing the recording, they may be the LMS administrator, they may also sometimes play a subject matter expert, an instructor, a course builder also. Now, why I'm sharing this is we have experienced this happening across the cross-section of e-learning delivery portals. So when we are talking about instruction without an instructor and without knowing how the delivery mechanism is happening, it is not only an LMS, it needs a thorough understanding of it. Okay? Right. So how is it that this challenge is impacting the masses who are going through it? be it students in school, be it students in colleges, be it in the corporate area. I can go on to eLearning, switch on a video, there's a recorded lecture. I go through that and I gather some amount of knowledge or I don't gather it. And as Bhushan, you rightly pointed out, backbenchers. Now, everybody does not have the same capability to understand all the topics and the subject at the same speed or the same way. Okay?
Yeah.
So do you see it as a challenge? What do you feel, Bhushan? Please.
Yeah. So, I would put it as like, it is a challenge, and it's an abuse of technology, I would say. So generally what happens is like, people would shoot videos, put the, slides on some LMS, and that is being called as course being designed, and it's being put across. I think rather than doing that, the designing part or the first step should be how we leverage the technology at first place. So what we should do with the technology, because technology is available and it's freely available. All the LMSs, all the servers, everything is available. So instructors need to think about the audience and what fits them, choose those technologies, and then take it to design the course and take it to people. And the question which they should ask is, what I need to do with this technology? What is the problem I'm going to solve for the students? And I think in due course, there has to be something which relates to the, addressing with various stakeholders, which essentially means that the instructors need to, rather than students ask the instructor that, this is my problem or how it has to be solved, the instructors can use certain tools to assess where the students are. And by the adaptive learning solutions, they can address what students would be requiring. And over a period of time, when the data accumulates, they can actually...
Bhushan, I will slightly stop you at this stage. You coming from a content and publishing background. Let me throw a query to you.
Yeah.
And maybe Professor Pankaj can also budge in as a senior faculty. There are a lot of subjects where you need discussion, you need demonstration, you need physical visualization. How is this challenge being fulfilled now? Do you see that happening? Yes.
To a certain extent, it's happening via videos. Video content is actually coming in a big way. Simulations are also being designed to cater, this requirement. But I would like to know from Professor Pankaj Priya as well that, how they are addressing, since he's very near to the students community.
Yeah, Pankaj, please.
You can mute, sir.
Thank you, sir. So actually, case discussions we have that we do on Zoom, because Zoom has that facility of breakout rooms. So different groups are in different breakout rooms, and obviously the Zoom has that facility. Obviously the paid account, I think, that as an instructor I can have access to all the breakout rooms simultaneously, so that I can see what each group is doing and handling the case, what discussions are going on. And I can set a time limit. After that, automatically the breakout rooms disappear, that facility, and everyone comes to one single room. That is one way we are trying to do this discussion part. But apart from that, you see, it is an uphill task. Number one issue is that if you ask in one screen at one point of time, there is a limit to how many people you can see in a gallery if you go to that mode. So beyond that, you can't see other students what they're doing. So if you have a large number of students in the class, that is a big problem. Even while, and moreover, despite so much of requesting, scheduling, forcing, they don't switch on their videos. Okay, so even if they switch on the videos, that is only temporarily, then they switch it off saying, sir, we have a bandwidth problem. So you can't do anything about it. So that is an issue over there. So obviously it is difficult to replace a live discussion over there, no doubt about it. So that's why what we have done is, in the present scenario, we have a hostel, we go for hybrid classrooms. So in the hybrid classroom, what we do is, that was there when unlock was there last time. Even now, if the government allows, we will go for that hybrid. That means 50% of the students are in the class, 50% are online. So it is an alternate day, they will come to the classroom. That way we take care of the social distancing in the classroom as well. But the key issue there is, as an instructor, I have to keep 1 ear to the students in the class and 1 ear to the students who are on the screen. So it's very difficult to coordinate. That is a very tough task. Means students will suddenly say, sir, what the classroom discussions are going on, we can't hear. People who are in the offline.
This is a very important point, Professor Pankaj, which you shared. I am just interrupting you at this stage. And the important point which I am bringing in over here is that good that Professor Pankaj is there. We have Bhushan also. We have Sanjay, who has a lot of background also into publishing. See, today if you see, the model is brick and mortar. I'm a professor, I'm a teacher. I have a model to deliver from my institution. I'm replicating it as it is onto a e-learning or an online platform. But the designing and the structuring may be looked into it. None of us across the world got time to create an instructional design. So I do have an instructor who walks into a classroom and there was a teacher. So I put in cameras and I have a Zoom and I can broadcast. But that doesn't facilitate training sometimes. And then put a faculty also under constraint. You have 1 year on the audio system where students are not visible, another year onto the classroom where students are visible. So how do you make them participate? I too have experienced that in a couple of sessions. So that's a challenge. So what I'm trying to aim at is, since all of us have enough experience, when we're talking about e-learning, there needs to be enough thought or resources which we feel is important in having a separate instructional design, separate expertise. Faculty should be provided or helped to take a class in a combination of a hybrid mode. So I may need tools. So Pankaj may need certain simulation or visualizations for a student in the classroom and a different visuals like video or structure for students who are online. Am I right, Pankaj? So these are very critical factors. Sanjay, you wanted to point out something?
Yeah, so I have noted some points, that definitely I would like to contribute to.
Please.
So the widest gap, that is being felt in e-learning is, that none of the e-learning courses, they have no certification values, hence people don't take it very seriously. They take it only for the purpose of absorption of knowledge, But again, since it doesn't have any certification as such, so the quantum of money, the time that you put in, you do not get any kind of certifications which is acceptable in the job market or elsewhere, right? So any kind of certification is not there. So this is the biggest gap, and hence there are n number of players.
But Sanjay, lot of e-learning courses do have valid certifications also.
Yeah, it might be, and a few might be having those kind of certifications. But again, they are not widely accepted in the job markets, or in the government jobs, or even, the employers, whether in government or in private sector, they look at with suspension, those kind of certifications.
So what you're saying is the acceptance is an issue.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so acceptance is an issue. You might be having very good knowledge, and you might be very skilled. But again, people will not believe you because you do not have any certifications, which is given by some recognized body on an authority. So people will not take it seriously. So this is number one. This is the widest gap, which is, and that is why, since there is no certification available, and that is why, you see, say, so for example, Byju's, so they can give you tutoring, from the people from to the students, from the K to 12 segment, but they can't give the certifications, right? So it is anybody who is into e-learning, they will take it Byju's as a secondary mode of tutoring, but they will not get it replaced on the schools because it doesn't have any certification as such, right? So similar is the case with, number of other players in the market, and you see there are now huge chunk of, companies coming into this e-learning business, imagining, that there is a wide gap as to fulfill this gap, the skill set that is required. So they are playing onto those models, but sooner or later, as the corona evaporates, definitely, people will look onto the, traditional mode of education where they have certifications and where they believe, that will have some weightage in their career.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is, So this is number one point, Number 2 point, e-learning, it is, as you rightly said, it is completely instructor based. So it doesn't involve any emotions as such, and it is completely, listening one way, and you might interact, with some few more questions, on the chat box or even, on the communication mode. But again, it is this kind of education is, instructor based, it doesn't involve any emotions as such, like say, for example, if you are a stock trader, so you do paper trading, rather than real trading. So it doesn't get involved with the emotions, so people are not very, very, thoroughly, they get deep into it. Right.
Okay. With these two areas, it brings us to a very important parameter before I go to the next challenge. And since I have Bhushan over here, who has seen content in and out, and I have Professor Pankaj too, who has been interacting and delivering sessions for my esteemed institutes like Birla's and to the corporate. Now the question and the issue that Sanjay raised might be there. So it may be emotion, staying with instruction without the instructor, okay? Staying with not proper designing. So what do you feel, to start with Bhushan, can be a way to handle this? And then I will come to Professor Pankaj.
Sure.
Bhushan, please.
Thanks, Sanjay, for adding in, that point. I would just add that, there have been many interventions from the government. So it's an issue of state essentially, where the recognition is a challenge. But with the new NEP coming in and, a lot of measures which have been taken during the pandemic time, government has actually paid a lot of attention onto the quality, which was not available earlier. It was a maze of certificates which was available, and everywhere and everybody, is offering something or the other, which can in the garb of e-learning. But with government interventions, I trust that should change. The scenario should change. For example, they have set up a steep GER achievement ratio, which government has set up for themselves. They have set up 50% by 2035, which essentially means that hybrid learning is something which would come in play, wherein online and offline learning would come in. E-learning would be in the mainstay. Government is actually trying to push MOOCs, and as a matter of fact, I was just reading the 149 universities have actually started accepting the credits which are being earned in the MOOCs run by government, specifically SWAYAM right now. So this would actually add a lot of value, and probably, the problem which is being raised by Sanjay, it would be addressed. Government is serious about that. Unlike US, where any course which you do from Coursera is considered at par. Another step which government has taken is there is nothing like distance education now. Your online on distance degrees would be at par, and there have been an AICTE notification being done 2 years back that those degrees would be considered and would be valid in any of the job opportunities or in terms of general recognition. So these measures would help the learners, and then the players like Coursera who are giving these certified courses, and of course they charge for that, but the valid certificates, which are again being recognized in the corporate world. Because there is a problem with the corporate world in terms of how should they allow somebody to go for a brick and mortar by taking leave, or they allow them to do it in their free time, their employees in free time, and gain a particular knowledge base.
Oh, wonderful. I'm tempted, Bhushan, to stop you over here. And a question comes to my mind straight off, another challenge while you're answering this. And I'll request you to answer the challenge which I put forth right now, and then request Professor Pankaj to add value to that. Now, you mentioned Coursera, you mentioned about online courses and the initiative. Great. But the programs are going to be delivered across a very wide geography and different demographics.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about this, where is the instructional design capability? Okay, and why I'm raising it over you on this platform is I'm here, you are there, Professor Pankaj is there, Sanjay is there, all coming and who all have rich experience in instruction. So wide demography, people with different backgrounds being delivered a standard course. So how do I challenge and fix up the instructional design? Because I don't see any instructional design. Today the challenge is, yes, there will be some institutes which are very big, putting an L&D team behind. Otherwise, by and large, I still see a professor on the video giving knowledge, and one after one, 6-hour session, and that's it. Okay, am I right?
Yeah.
Professor Pankaj, don't take it otherwise, but that is how it goes, right? So to start off with Bhushan, continuing with it, what you were explaining.
Very pertinent point, and according to me, and it's my personal belief, that rather than thinking of creating something, on own and everything, I would say, not something, I think there should be partnerships which emerge,
Okay.
wherein people with a specific set of skill should be doing the job. So to elaborate, teachers can't be replaced, and they are the best in terms of imparting and understanding the students. Probably they may have capability or may not have capability to develop a interesting video, or maybe a textual content or a simulation. So people like there are different players like publishers, there are animator creators, there are professional video shooters. So they should be engaged in the process, and then the courses should be created, which this would enhance the quality, it would standardize the delivery, and it would actually fit in to students in terms of what they would be looking at. There is plenty of things available over the internet, and I personally hear that everything is available in YouTube and everything is available over the Google. So if that would have been the case, nobody probably would have been going to attend these online courses or going to colleges if the degrees were not to be imparted. So far it has been the pressure which is coming in to earn that paper, but not the knowledge. Knowledge learning thing actually comes in the executive education, where they feel that now it has to be learned, otherwise they would not be promoted or not fit in, and there is an internal competition as well. So I think it should be partnership models which should evolve with different stakeholders.
So you're talking about collaboration, partnerships.
Yes.
Professor Pankaj, would you like to add any views to this?
Yes, sir. As far as the recognition of the certification is concerned, if you see, that's why these new ventures like Upgrad and Great Learning and others, they have actually joined hands with some institutes across the world. For example, my institute, we have joined hands with Upgrad. Now there we give lectures, recorded lectures which are there. So at the end of the 2 years, they get a certificate which is recognized by AICTE. That is a PG diploma over there. So that is there. And the other issue is regarding, yes, if you are looking at courses like Coursera, that is a standard course and that is available to everyone across the globe. So the issue of customization as such is obviously lacking. But what I have seen, for example, now as Bhushanji rightly said, that government initiative Swayam is NPTEL. They have a lot of courses and many people are logged in. It is very good for a country like India because it is free, and only when you give the exams, then only you have to pay 1,000 rupees. So for example, I am also doing a course there. Now there are options. If you join as a student, they ask if you're a student, fine, you get a certification. If you join as a faculty, then you get an FDP certificate that is recognized as a part of your FDP add-on, that this is an add-on skill. You get credits for it also during your annual assessment and all this. So government has included this, incorporated this in the, as per the education policy. And I find many faculty, young faculty, they simultaneously are doing 2 courses, 3 courses together, because these FDP add-ons certificate that they get by passing Swayam, that is it adds value to their overall CV. And as far as Swayam is concerned, I know that they have a very good system of feedback. So they ask you to give a feedback, they incorporate it, and I have seen that they have made changes in their course accordingly. So that means in one season they had a particular course. Next year when they floated the course, based on the feedback from the participants, they made changes accordingly to ensure its relevance over a period of time.
Okay, great. So see, that means we have things working backend to take care of the processes, number one, which Professor Pankaj you shared. The certification process is being standardized. Bhushan, you added a very important point, like there can be collaborations. So that means we are talking about actually new business models to evolve, to engage partnerships. I've seen wonderful simulations which are available, but simulations are so expensive to design. Sometimes a learning institute may find it much easier to avoid it. But what will happen is there might be a group of students who are going through a subject could have visualized that entire thing through simulations. Why simulation comes, I'm just adding on, since we have a knowledgeable group over here. I was creating a small presentation to be done on a webinar on 4th with oil and gas, and we are talking about a concept called digital twine. And we are talking about simulating the entire manufacturing processes and visualizing it during operation or before operations also, which saves. So simulations and visualization is a very, very important aspect of the digital world. And it can enable delivery of technical classes very, very strongly, where people can go through it, get back and analyze. So in fact, there is a requirement that there is a service provider who can create an instructional design, who can say, hey, this is how the program should be developed. There should be an enabler which enables a faculty to deliver online. It is not only a board and himself or herself, but simulations, videos, matters, which can actually create not only a wow factor, but a effective learning to different group of students across. And I think, Bhushan, coming from the publishing areas, the publishers, I'm very sure, might be working on certain parameters to bridge this gap. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is there something happening? Interesting?
Yeah. In fact, the publishers have come up with the standardized courses where the content is standardized. It contains the videos, animations, simulations. There is a grade book. So the entire, all the requirements of a particular course are given. And the beautiful thing about that is that instructors can actually design it in their way of delivery. They can fit in the elements, what they need. They can, take it for the hybrid learning as well. And they can also assess that how the students are performing by looking at the data being produced in due course, which essentially means that they can have a better control of the class. For example, suppose a quiz is being thrown at the mid of the lecture, where students just have to click in the right option or the nearest right option, and the data is available on the fly to the instructor within a few seconds. And instructor, by just seeing that how many have attempted it right or wrong, can fine tune the delivery mechanism then and there. So it's so instant. Suppose many students have not given the right answer. That means there is some problem somewhere in terms of their understanding. So usually in our system, instructors don't get that kind of a feedback in the class, but these standardized delivery mechanisms actually helps them to, gauge how the class is moving and take advantage, which helps both instructors and students in the same time.
Right. So that means I need to have a backend, a very enabled learning management system platform, a capable LMS platform which is used to deliver a e-learning program where I can analyze instant feedback and things, right?
Yes.
True. Very good. Now, while we are talking about this collaboration, people getting together, enabling of faculty, and same size don't fit everybody, demographics, these are challenges which are there and are being worked out. Let me throw one more challenge straight off. Assessments. Huge confusion. I see the kids around in school, my son, others, proctored examinations which are there. Okay. Number one worry which I'm putting across, I'm not talking about very well-built LMSs and very strong institutions as such. Most of the questions are MCQs, very easy to create. I create a course, I have to assess, I create a backend engine using Moodle, MCQs, done, pass, fail. Now, as Sanjay raised, certification and acceptability. Now, can all evaluations be only MCQ based? Or it has to be subjective also? It is possible, I know, because I was evaluating a proctored assessment device 3 days back from Chennai, where people can in fact write and draw, and it is proctored. You can't do it. So the security of conducting the examinations, then MCQs, does it justice? What do you feel? Let me go to Professor Pankaj first, then I'll come to Bhushan. Sanjay, you can add on. Are MCQs the only way, Professor Pankaj? You are muted.
It's not like that. We have MCQs only for a short quizzes. We have a OLT system, that is online test. That is obviously objective MCQ based. But the end term exam, that's why we have ensured that is a pen and paper, in the sense that they write pen and paper, then they scan and immediately upload it. So that means if the exam is of 1.5 hours, they are given 15 minutes extra to scan and upload it.
Okay.
And after that, our platform won't accept any particular thing. But whatever you do, what is the key issue? And let me tell you here, I will give you a statement from a very known faculty from Harvard Business School. I was attending my first seminar last year when lockdown started, and we were clueless about this online teaching and all this. I think Professor Kasturi Rangan, something like that, he said, someone asked him that, sir, how are you going to ensure that there is no cheating in the exams that you are conducting? You know what his answer was? He says, my students are spread all across the globe. Now, if they are hell-bent on cheating, then there is no force on the earth to stop them from cheating in online. I can't do anything about it. So the issue is the ethical aspects of online examination. And that's why, you know, when you talked about the credibility of certification exams of online, it is because it is difficult to actually find out, because students are so smart technologically. For example, people of my age group, we are technologically way behind because obviously we are not so adept and not so comfortable with the use of technology. They are very smart. So despite having a proctored exam, let me tell you, we have our institute, but when we tally the answers, we can easily make out. After all, we haven't graded our hairs like that. And we can easily make out that most of them have copied. And you know how? For example, if you give 4 questions, they pre-decide that the first 2 I do, second 2 you do. And then they have a mobile phone kept over here because you are looking at the screen. You don't know what is kept over here on the table. So on the WhatsApp, everything is being shared. They are copying it out and they are putting it on time, before time. It goes like that. And the same students, when last year unlocks happened, and when we asked them to come to give the examination in the campus, there was a big difference in the marks. So that further proved that the earlier exams were not up to the mark. But that is one of the major limitation, and we are still looking at ways and means. See, we can tie up with Mattel or whatever these platforms are there for examination. But I have seen it's very difficult to prevent unethical means, unfair means happening in the examination. That is a major issue with the examination. So that's why many people resort to objective type test, giving a very short time duration so that you don't have time to ask each other.
Right.
And everyone gets different set of questions. It's like that. That is the reason why we go for objective.
Right. Bhushan, any inputs on this, on the assessment part of it as a challenge?
Sure. So I would say I'm like very pertinent points being put by Professor Pankaj. It's a reality. So I would say rather than focusing on that whether a student has cheated or not, and it would take time. There has to be ethical learning which need to be imbibed within the students from the beginning. And I believe with current system of NEP which is being loaded and the learnings which have been gained during the pandemic time, this is something which is being coming in. I have my kid at home who gives the online examination, but I don't have to even check whether he is doing any using any unfair means or not, because that has been inbuilt into him that he doesn't have to cheat. He would only write what he knows. And I think I would put a very basic thing over here, that examinations assessment needs to be basically of formative and summative assessments, wherein it has to be objective and it has to be continuous in form of a formative assessment, rather than the rote method being promoted through term and kind of an exam, just summative.
So you are pointing towards the instructional design mechanism to get altered. Instead of having an end-term basis evaluation only, it should be a consistent and continuous process.
Right. So this has been the part in the school system, but not very well practiced in the higher education system as of now. But I think it's a very good system if being practiced and being used. The other advantage is institutions and faculty get a very, they can actually focus on feedback and focus more on learning and making students enabled in terms of what they should be knowing. Current assessment systems actually don't even take feedbacks. So some institutions, the private ones, the bigger ones, have a term and feedback mechanism, but it has to be continuous.
Okay. Now see, this is a very, very important and interesting part, because nowadays for online, a lot of resources, time, energy, and a lot of thoughts has been spent on assessment. whether you call it a joint entrance examination or a course-based examination or a subject-based examinations. So these are one challenges which are coming across. And there are ways out, as you pointed out. So things are actually going back and saying that, hey, if I have to deliver a e-learning mechanism, I have to have a proper procedure and support system. And as Bhushan, you rightly pointed out, you say that this support system need not be part of that company itself or that body itself. Those expert solutions can be hired or taken support of when required. And I think SWAYAM, which Professor Pankaj pointed out, in fact, is doing it in an indirect way, putting capable institutions together to give out structured programs and acknowledging them. But taking the step forward, maybe publishers, content developers, educationists, certifiers, everybody have to put a thought so that in the process, as Sanjay has pointed out, the masses don't get feeded with only an instructor video which lands up over there and course is done and a small MCQ and a certificate given. Am I right, Sanjay?
Right, sir.
And at the end of it, even if the industry acknowledges it, I will be of no use to the industry because I can't do any work. So as we are traveling right now, maybe online education and e-learning is going to stay and get more stronger, whether Corona stays or doesn't stay. So this becomes very, very critical. One important point which has come up while we have been, because I'm just sharing, because I have been evaluating a couple of LMS systems as I've been sharing with Bhushan in the last 2 days, before I asked and requested Bhushan to join in our discussions today. There are different kind of capabilities. Institutes have their own support system. So what I am doing is, I'm giving an example. I have a big or a small institute. I need online. I have Zoom, on which we are talking right now. Somebody has Teams. Is the online secured? Is there a security? I'm an institute. I'm a training organization. I'm delivering a program. Is my entire delivery mechanism confidential to me and my students? That's one. What do you have to say, Bhushan, to that? Everybody is using Zoom, and I don't think that I'm not against or for any system, but these issues have cropped up. No matter what you are doing on the internet, the concerns about data privacy, security is always there. I take 100 hours of classes. It could be recorded anywhere on Google Classroom or Zoom, external entities. But they may not be always the safest and the secure tools. What I'm doing today, in Hindi, we can call it a jugaad. I have a free Zoom or something, or I pay a small thing and I do it. Why are people not using new or stable edutech platforms which are available, which are safe and secure? Bhushan, please.
Yeah. So, on a lighter side, I would say, let people learn.
Yeah, people will learn. They will learn it a hard way. Yes.
But yeah, there are solutions available. I'm not an IT expert, but with experience, what I can say is that you need to do a domain validation or the organization validation in place through SSL, which would essentially help that only the legitimate users are using your content or consuming your content. There can be in-class credential check. So what we used to do in Bennett and Coleman is that we used to give the pop-ups which are not pre-decided. They can come at any point of time when the student is attending a class, and they need to put in some value. So the pop-up would contain that whether they would put their name, roll number, and registration number, phone number, whatever. So it changes. And there are about 4 pop-ups which would come in a 2-hour kind of a class. So that also to a certain extent helps validating and authenticating. It also helps to keep students awake.
Right.
Apart from this, there can be, I would strongly recommend that wherever the content is lying and whatever content is lying, whether it's the courses, e-learning, or even a simple database, it should be always be put in the encrypted format, which essentially means that even if the data is being hacked, your content would not be lost. There are high chances it would not be lost, though hackers, technology, I don't know to what extent it has gone that anything and everything is available. But at least from our end, we should do use these measures to ensure that we are not giving an easy way or easy passage to the hackers for the content. So my take on that.
Bhushan, what is the publishing world, how they are gearing up to enable the academic environment and enable the academia and the professors and teachers? Initially it was book, then it was a hybrid, some content, something. So obviously the best of the contents are with you all globally, with publishers. So how does the publishing world wish to collaborate to handle this challenge with academic institutions?
So publishers are these days, leveraging technology, and it's not just the book which is available, which needs to be purchased by the student or the institution. The content, so even people have to think about publishers as, content providers rather than somebody who is just selling books. So we provide, or for that matter, any of the standard publishing company would be providing the content in the form of book, the content in the form of custom content, which can be fine-tuned as per the student or institution's requirement. We add on the layers in terms of assessment, test banks, at certain places, animations, videos. At some point they are like, self-created, which are copyrighted content. And at other places, it can also be curated content, which is freely available, because a lot of time, faculty is searching for the right content, which needs to be taken in the class. And their time is precious in terms of they have to focus on teaching, and they do a lot of administrative work also. So publishers help them in terms of giving them the curated content, which can be used. And it's not just the book, but other formats as well. They also provide study guides, lecture slides, teaching notes, which are available. So tests and quizzes can be formulated as per the requirement. It could be short answer, long answer, MCQs.
And all these are digitized and digitally available.
Yeah.
To be used on any LMS platform.
Yes, they are ready to plug and play. Even publishers provide LMS as well. Some publishers provide LMS as well, which can be plugged into the institution's existing LMS. So I think publisher is a wrong word to be used in today's environment. It has to be a content provider who provides the credible content, which is copyrighted and which has been created by the authors in a environment to help. They know what the students would be requiring, and it's available.
So what you're saying is actually there's a whole lot of effort going from strong publishing houses to provide content solution which can enable and strengthen the e-learning environment,
right,
and make it stronger. Great, because these points needed to be discussed, because as we have been evaluating various programs, and why I'm analyzing it, my job is mostly to do strategic alliances. As of today, I have 8 platforms, LMSs at different stages, different capabilities. In last 15 days, we evaluated 5 proctored examination service providers. I'm not about TCS and all this. They are able to go through. But as Professor Pankaj shared, scan of answer sheets, I saw a very interesting device which is demonstrated from Chennai and Singapore simultaneously. A device on which I can just write, I can draw, and it is instant. Nothing is there before. Proctored. It's coming down on my tablet the moment I switch on, and everybody gets a different set of combinations. I write it over, and I can do it offline. I don't need internet connectivity also, and I can upload it, or the institution can upload it. A teacher gets it. So a lot of innovations are happening, learning is happening, and as I've been talking to you, Bhushan, with the interest that academia may need a strong support from content solution provider to enable that learning delivery mechanism to be more strong and robust. Yes, cost is there, but if we have to deliver something good, we have to bear and take in the cost. And obviously, I can't replicate a model which is a school or a college model on an online, right, Professor Pankaj? So that is there.
Yes.
So these are some integrated challenges. And coming to the internet security, we get tempted to use something freely available or cheaply available. Great. But the factor is there are strong, robust platforms which are there. Today or yesterday, it was my classroom and my research laboratory, which was an asset. But today, for an institution, it could be a strong platform, own video conferencing facility, which is as cheap, and sometimes I've seen it's cheaper than using Zoom, which can have the same brand and same facilities, but is completely secure, and addressing the designing of the learning and delivery mechanism through proper instructional design, so that what happens is when we are addressing across demographics, the learner is able to understand, learn. It should not happen that people take it casually and the guys or the people who are able to grasp grows up, and 10 years down the line we see suddenly there's a huge gap between the slow learners and the fast learners, because those things have not been taken care of. Any comments which you want to share, Professor Pankaj, Sanjay, Bhushan, at this stage? Rahul?
No comments as such.
I would like to share a point here.
Yes.
So coming to the main topic, that the gaps and the challenges which are there in the e-learning space. So another, gap as well as challenge as well as an opportunity that I foresee in the e-learning space is, that there is no entry barrier as such.
Good, very good.
Yeah. So anybody can go and join, and so there is no entry barrier. And hence, entry barrier, if you go to the formal education, though entry barriers are always created, like if you go for any kind of exam, competitive exam, any kind of course, like engineering, and there are entry barriers. But here there are no entry barriers. So everything is available freely. Anybody can, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can go and join. And hence it is freely available. There are no entry barriers. That is why it doesn't have a market value.
Right.
So this is definitely one very important point, that I foresee. Then again, I would say that way, that it is an opportunity to build online universities with entry and exit barriers.
Yes.
So this could be an opportunity, if the players are looking at very seriously and to make it sustainable and profitable in the long run. These type of entry and exit barriers can be created.
True. So, Professor Pankaj, interested in building our online university?
No, as I said, that already if you see, we have now our own studio. They have set up in the campus, and they are planning to come up with a range of certification programs, 6 months like that, short certification in specific areas. So already you see many private B schools are realizing that there is immense opportunity there, out there in the online space, which can be tapped. But
Okay.
yes, that is good for only short duration course. Means no point in having a 4-year undergraduate program all online.
Right.
That won't make much sense, because if you see, unless you have a hands-on in the field, no recruiter is going to entertain you.
True.
That is the problem.
No, great. See, this is a very deep and a huge subject. There will be no limit as we keep on discussing, but it was good that we got an opportunity to threadbare discuss at least some of the initial challenges. And the factor is, while I'm speaking and sharing these experiences with you, very shortly you may see that we are also implementing it. Because I have been, very frankly, in the last 6 months trying to create an aggregation group, and I have identified very strong international platforms. Let's see how it can happen. Publishing content solutions, couple of things. And we have been trying to observe, and we have been closely following the Education Policy 2020, which Bhushan you referred to in terms of registrations. And there is not only an opportunity, we are visualizing centered around Hyderabad body to get into this space and integrate different service providers to align and deliver quality. And that is where the discussion is, though we have a small discussions, but this will have a far-reaching effect. And thanks for all of you in joining in. Pankaj, thank you.
Thanks.
For adding in your valuable input. Sanjay, thanks for joining in from Lucknow.
Thank you,
Rahul, thank you. Bhushan, thank you for your time and joining in. I'm sure that in future we'll get opportunities to discuss and work on similar lines as we go forward. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll connect again. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.